Welcome, viewers, to the first episode of the Stellar Twin Voyagers. Today, I, Nova A239, will guide you through an unforgettable adventure. Together, let's explore the eternity of a million eras and fill our dreams among the seas of stars, witnessing the struggles and aspirations of Aster and Cosmo, the siblings striving to reach their goals amidst the limitless cosmic splendor. Prepare to be amazed by the wonders of the universe and the hopeful story that will inspire us all. Alright, let's begin our first story. Once upon a time, on a small island called the Island of Thousand Hopes, lived a pair of shepherd siblings. The elder brother, Aster, was 9 years old, and the younger brother, Cosmo, was 8 years old. They always played together joyfully all day while watching over and herding their sheep. Early in the morning, they would lead their sheep out of the pen and guide the flock to graze in a green meadow not far from their home. They would play while keeping an eye on the flock, and when the sun was directly overhead, they would lead the sheep back to the pen. They would then return home to fetch the food their mother had prepared and bring it to their father and grandfather who were working in the fields. "Grandpa, Dad, we're here. Come and take a break, prepared lunch for today," shouted the shepherd siblings, waving their hands as they slowly walked towards the middle of the field. "Okay, I'll finish up here first. Aster, come help me gather the corn I've piled up over there and put it in the basket. Cosmo, open the lunchbox and invite Grandpa to eat first. We'll join you shortly," said their father. "Sure, Dad," replied the shepherd kids. Cosmo immediately helped Grandpa to a small hut at the edge of the field, while Aster helped his father collecting all the harvested corn. "Wow, Dad, our corn has grown so well this one, it's even bigger than my hand. We can sell it at a good price, it must be really sweet," said Aster excitedly. "Haha, that's right, your grandpa and I are unbeatable farmers in this village. I'll set aside some for your mom to cook, so you can enjoy this sweet corn. And don't forget, your mom's special." "Alright, let's move these sacks of corn to the hut and join Cosmo and Grandpa for lunch," said their father enthusiastically. "Okay, Dad," replied Aster. From the hut, Cosmo waved to their father and brother. "Dad, brother, come eat. Grandpa is waiting," said Cosmo energetically. Their father and Aster quickly headed to the hut and took a break. "Wow, look, Mom has cooked Dad's favorite smoked meat. And see that, there's sweet and sour sauced fish, Grandpa's favorite. This meal makes me so excited," said Aster, drooling. "Haha, look at my grandchildren, growing up healthy. Eat more so you can grow into strong shepherds. Here is some fish and meat for you, Aster. And this for you, Cosmo," said Grandpa with a smile. "Dad, this is for you. You also need to take care of yourself," said their father, giving a piece of meat to Grandpa. Grandpa handed it to their father. "You eat too. Young people need nutrition to grow and work well. Old folks like me don't need it as much anymore. Haha. By the way, my grandchildren, how are our sheep?" "Healthy, Grandpa. We've also put them in the pen. Our sheep are quite plump, Grandpa," said Cosmo enthusiastically while chewing his food. Grandpa laughed and said, "Swallow first, my dear, or you might choke. Aster, have you started reading the book I gave you yesterday?" The elder brother nodded and replied excitedly, "Yes, Grandpa, we've started reading it. It's very more about the stars and everything up there. We want to hear more." Grandpa smiled and said, "Alright, let's finish our meal, and then I'll tell you some stories about the stars and the night sky." The siblings eagerly agreed, "Okay, Grandpa," and they finished their lunch enthusiastically. Grandpa smiled, "Watch, Father, I'll head back to the field to continue harvesting the remaining corn. You too, listen to Grandpa, understood?" said their father, standing up slowly while patting Aster and Cosmo's heads. "Dad, you just finished eating, why not rest a bit longer? We'll help in the field later," suggested Aster. Father shook his head and replied, "No, I'm full, and I think it's better if I start working and get a bit of exercise. It'll make me feel more fit." "Okay, Dad, we'll come to the field after hearing Grandpa's story," said the eager siblings. Father smiled and towards the middle of the field. All right, my dear grandchildren, have you finished eating? Asked Grandpa gently. Yes, Grandpa. Come on, Grandpa, start the story, we want to hear it. Said the little shepherds eagerly. Grandpa smiled and began to speak. All right, my lovely grandchildren. Let me see, where should I start? Let's start here. Aster, did you bring the book with you? Asked Grandpa. Yes, Grandpa, here it is, said Aster, showing the book. Good, Aster. Cosmo, do you know what the picture on the cover of the book is? Asked Grandpa. It is depiction of the night sky, Grandpa, said Aster and Cosmo excitedly. Very good, and what about this stretch? The slightly hazy region crossing the night sky. Grandpa pointed. Clouds, Grandpa, the bridge of heaven clouds, said Cosmo. Good, that's the name we use in our folklore. The Milky Way, said Grandpa. Cosmo asked, then Grandpa, what exactly is the Milky Way? Is it also a star? It looks more like a mist or cloud. Grandpa smiled and explained, the Milky Way, which looks like a mist stretching across the night sky to us, is actually a galaxy. We'll pause the discussion about the Milky Way for now. I'll tell you more interesting stories about the Milky Way another time. The siblings nodded in agreement. What about the picture on the introductory page of the book? Do you know what this is? Asked Grandpa again, pointing to the other picture. Cosmo pointed to the bright yellow ball in the center of the picture. This is our sun, Grandpa. Aster pointed to the bluish-green ball orbiting the bright yellow ball Cosmo pointed at earlier. This must be Earth, Grandpa. Grandpa smiled and explained, ho ho ho, very good, my dear grandchildren. And this whole depiction is what called the solar system. The Earth depiction is what called the solar system. The Earth, where we live, is just one of the 8 major planets in the solar system, and our sun is just one of billions, maybe trillions of stars, in the universe. Our moon is just one of many moons, called natural satellites, that orbit other planets. Do you understand? Aster then asked curiously, wow, does that mean our sun isn't unique, Grandpa? And why is the sun also called a star, Grandpa? They're clearly of different sizes, Grandpa. The sun is so big, so hot, while stars look very small and only seem to shine when the sun has set. Grandpa cleared his and continued, Aster, Cosmo, listen. The sun appears so big and feels so hot because it's very close to the Earth, which makes it look much larger than the other stars in the sky. But in reality, the sun is also a star, and stars are essentially burning balls of gas undergoing complex chemical reactions in their cores. All the stars we see in the sky are like our sun, only they are very far away from Earth, which is why they look small and not as bright. Do you understand? Cosmo raised his hand. Grandpa, why do other stars twinkle in the night sky, but the sun doesn't? Grandpa smiled proudly and said, so, Aster, Cosmo, the Earth we live on has a layer of air above the crust we stand on, called the atmosphere. The Earth's atmosphere, the layer of air surrounding our planet, consists of various substances, like nitrogen, oxygen, water vapor, and other particles, such as dust and smoke. When starlight enters the Earth's atmosphere, it encounters these particles. These particles can reflect, refract, and alter the direction of the starlight, disrupting its path to us, making it appear to twinkle from our perspective on Earth. That's why stars seem to twinkle in the night sky. Meanwhile, when the sun is in the daytime sky, its light is much brighter and more direct because of its position above us. Sunlight only needs to pass through a small portion of the Earth's atmosphere before reaching our eyes, so it doesn't experience much disruption or refraction, and thus doesn't appear to twinkle like the stars at night. But have you noticed, Aster, Cosmo, that the color of the sun changes slightly when it's at different heights in the sky? Aster and Cosmo nodded, then said in unison, yes, Grandpa, please explain why this happens to us, too. Grandpa smiled again and explained slowly, listen carefully, my dear grandchildren. Did you know? The true color of the big ball of light we call the sun is actually not yellow, nor red, nor orange. Indeed, it is white. Sunlight consists of various colors, which when combined produce white light. When the sun is high in the sky, its color appears brighter and whiter. This is because the sunlight hits Earth's atmosphere, so its color is not significantly affected by the particles in the air. However, when the sun is near the horizon, like during sunrise or sunset, its light has to pass through more layers of the Earth's atmosphere. These particles tend to scatter blue and violet light, making the colors that reach our eyes more dominantly red-orange. This is why, Aster, Cosmo, the sun appears red or orange when it's near the horizon. Additionally, the elevation of the sun also affects the color we see. When the sun is overhead, high elevation, its light is less obstructed by the atmosphere, so it appears whiter. But when the sun is near the horizon, low elevation, its light has to pass through more atmosphere, making it appear redder. That's how it is, my dear grandchildren. Aster then said, "Oh, is that so? Then, Grandpa, is the moon also a star? What about Venus or Mars, Grandpa? Are the sun and the moon the same size, Grandpa?" "Because they look almost the same size in the sky, Grandpa." Grandpa smiled again and continued his explanation. "My smart grandchildren, let me explain further. But this will be the last explanation for this afternoon, as I need to get back to the field. So, my dear grandchildren, you need to know that the moon is the Earth's natural satellite. As a natural satellite, the moon does not produce its own light like a star. They are almost like planets, only usually smaller than the planets they orbit, and they are typically made of materials similar to those of the planet they orbit. Instead, making it appear bright in the night sky. Regarding the small dots you often see in the dawn and dusk sky, Venus and Mars are planets, my dear ones, not stars. These planets do not emit their own light but rely on the reflection of the sun's light to be visible in the sky, just like the moon. Lastly, the sun is actually much larger than the moon. The sun's diameter is about 109 times larger than the moon's. Although they appear almost the same size from Earth because of the vast difference in distance, with the moon being much closer to Earth than the sun, the actual size difference is enormous. The sun is much farther from Earth than the moon, which is why it appears smaller in the sky even though it is much larger. Yes, I think that's enough for today. Let's pack up our lunchboxes, Grandpa needs to get back to work. Aster, Cosmo, be good little shepherds, and study diligently, and your dreams will surely come true. My dear grandchildren, have you decided on your aspirations? Aster and Cosmo looked at each other, then held hands. Yes, Grandpa, we have determined our dreams. We will travel into space when we grow up, together. Grandpa was slightly surprised, then smiled and said, "It's good to have big ambitions and dreams, but remember, high dreams also require great effort. You are still young, so study hard. Grandpa will give you another book once you finish this first one." The two young shepherds nodded, and they returned to the field to work. And that concludes today's episode of the Stellar Twin Voyagers. Exciting, Twin Voyagers. Exciting, isn't it? Do you also want to explore space? Stay with us on this program, and we will meet again in the next episode. In short, I, Nova A239, am very happy to